So yes, I passed my CBT somehow. To say it wasn't an enjoyable experience would be a bit of an understatement. You see, we were in the middle of a heat wave. I've got loads of excuses here. I was sweating buckets. I struggled to mount the bike, let alone keep it upright. And after one particularly graceful stall at a junction, the instructor very diplomatically suggested that I swap out onto the automatic scooter. Now, you might think things improved after that. They didn't. Thankfully, I did pass my CBT. Not that you can fail, by the way. And I just went out and bought myself a learner bike. I made myself a promise. I was going to practice all these slow speed maneuvers I'd struggled with over and over again until they became second nature. Or at least until I could do them without looking like I was wrestling a shopping trolley. So here we are, fast forward 6 weeks, and here I am riding one of the Blackburn Mod 2 test routes. Now, if you'd told me on the day of my CBT that I'd be here a few weeks later, confidently on my own, practicing for my Mod 2 test, I probably wouldn't have believed you. It was just an unforgettable experience. So my test is only a few weeks away, so over the coming weeks I'll be riding each of the routes twice a week. So on top of that, I'll be spending one evening a week practicing the slow speed maneuvers like the slaloms, the figure of eights and the U-turns. Now, the idea of these videos is pretty simple really. I just want to document my progress, show the mistakes I make, and hopefully improve from one ride to the next. And if anyone watching has any advice they can pass on, I'd genuinely appreciate hearing it. Now, one thing everyone notices about me fairly quickly is that I'm not exactly blessed with height. I'm only 5'2". Most people in my position would probably have bought something like a Honda Rebel or one of these lowriders where both feet are flat on the floor. Now that's initially I was actually looking at one of these lowriders. Instead, I decided to make life more difficult for myself, and I bought myself a Husqvarna 125, which is quite tall. For a 125, it's actually taller than some full-size bikes. Now looking back, I probably did throw myself in at the deep end, but there was a reason for it. I didn't want to spend years riding a really low motorcycle and then constantly feel intimidated by taller bikes. My thinking was that if I learnt on something taller from day one, eventually it would just become normal. Now the Husqvarna Svartpilen is quite a tall bike for someone my height, and it's fairly heavy for a 125 as well. But that's also one of the reasons I chose it. The bike I'll be taking my Mod 1 and Mod 2 tests on is obviously much more heavier than this. It's about 50 kgs heavier than this. This bike, the Husqvarna, weighs 150 kgs, whereas the Suzuki SV650, for example, it weighs 200 kgs. So I thought it made sense to get used to handling a heavier motorcycle as early as possible. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest change in my confidence has actually come from practicing those slow speed maneuvers. And honestly, I can't recommend it enough. The more hours you spend doing figure of eights, slalom exercises, U-turns and clutch control, the more comfortable everything else starts to become. People often think confidence comes first. However, I found that it's actually the other way around. The more experience I gained, the more confidence that followed. Not overnight, mind, but it was incrementally. Now, one thing that's really surprised me is the biking community. I'd just forgotten how friendly the bikers are. Whether it's people chatting to your petrol stations, nodding as you ride past, or offering advice online, everyone seems genuinely pleased to help new riders. It's been one of the nicer surprises since getting back into motorcycling. There are still plenty of things I'm consciously working on during these practice rides. I'm trying to remember my mirror checks before moving away. I'm trying to remember my mirror checks before moving away from traffic lights. Every time I leave a roundabout, I'm reminding myself to do a lifesaver. Likewise, a lifesaver whenever I change my road position. There's small things individually, however, put together, they're exactly the sort of observations that become second nature if you keep practicing. And I'm told the instructor, the examiner even, does keep an eye out for these things. However, I have also developed one annoying little habit. See, I've been riding cycles, road bikes, for the last 10 years. I've done thousands of miles on road bikes. And the issue for me is every time I stop at junctions or traffic lights, I naturally put my foot down, my right foot down, sorry. It's amazing how, now I've been told, every time, I've also developed one annoying little habit. Every time I stop at junctions or traffic lights, I naturally put my right foot down. Now, I've been told that that's not something that you should be doing. I should be putting my left foot down and use my right foot to cover the brakes. So now I'm making a conscious effort. To leave my right foot covering the brakes and put my left foot down instead. It's taken a bit of retraining, but I'm getting there eventually. Now, as much as I enjoy riding the Husqvarna, I have noticed the limitations of that little bike. Well, I say little, the engine's little. When you're out on the open country roads, the engine's working quite hard most of the time. There's a constant buzz through the bars and the pegs, plenty of vibration and quite a bit of engine noise. So after about 2 hours, you start to feel it. It actually reminds me of my first car. Back in 1996, I had a little 1 litre Nissan Micra when I was at university. I'd regularly drive about 8 miles into North Wales. By the time I got there, I was absolutely shattered because the engine was working flat out for the whole journey. Later, when I upgraded to something bigger and more quieter, those same journeys suddenly became a bit more relaxing. Now, I imagine moving from a Learner 125 onto a larger motorcycle is going to feel exactly the same. Less stressed, hopefully, less frantic and more effortless. Hopefully I'll find out very soon. Now, whatever happens on test day, I can honestly say I've enjoyed this journey so far. I've learned a lot, again, regarding my confidence. My confidence has grown massively compared with where I started. And I genuinely look forward to getting on the bike now. Now, if you watched this far, thank you for coming along for the ride. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the scenery as much as I have. Now, I'll be uploading all 3 Blackburn test routes over the coming weeks, so it'll be interesting to look back and hopefully see my riding improve from one video to the next. Right, let's carry on and see what the rest of the ride has in store.